Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturns. The deadline for the Christmas Ornament Challenge is over. I really don't want it to end, but we had to draw a line, and so now we're in the process of selecting who gets the prizes. And frankly, we've been overwhelmed by the sheer number and variety and the diversity of ornaments and how classy these things are. So it's going to take us a little bit to select who gets the prizes. So a little patience. But meanwhile, I really do want Christmas to go on. So I'm going to add another ornament to the challenge. It's past deadline, but that's okay. I don't qualify anyway. So this is a molecule ornament or an orbit ornament. Take your pick which. Generally, if you think of a planet, they all go in somewhat of a band like Saturn, but this thing seems to go every which way, maybe more like an ornament. So let's make it and keep the Christmas spirit running.
My orbit rings are padauk. I've prepared one segment ring as thick as possible. I'm parting off slices, aiming to be as uniform as possible. Now that's an impossible dream. I managed to make 7 slices, not quite uniform. My thickness sander comes to my rescue. After sanding one side, I've stuck the slices down with double-stick tape to a piece of chipboard. Multiple passes through the sander does the trick. The globe's base material is maple. I've prepared 4 rings of 12 segments. I've glued them into pairs. Alignment is not critical since I'll be slicing everything apart anyway. So I just glued them together in sets of 2 without worrying about alignment. I also glued one slice of padauk to one set of the maple rings. Now to round them off and hollow them out a little bit. Then glue the 2 halves together. Now as a unit, I'm starting to rough them into a perfect globe, but not perfect yet. I'm going to mess it up, and I'll have to leave it rough. Now I'll pick a spot to cut in an orbit and part it almost off. I'll finish the cut on the bandsaw and sand the faces of the 2 halves flat and smooth. Now glue the 2 halves back together again, being careful to align the cut ends of the previous orbits. Now just a little tooling to smooth out the orbit ring I just glued in. Then pick a spot for the next orbit ring and part it off. This time I'll mark a line across the cut line to help align when I glue it back together. Then sand the 2 halves flat and smooth again. And glue them back together again. Then smooth out the ring and get ready for the next ring. Again and again and again for a total of 6 orbits. I accidentally cut an orbit through my mounting hole. Now I need to set it up to drill it out again. I've screwed a donut ring over the globe to hold it in place while I drill it. Not a big setback. With all orbits completed, I can finish my orbit globe into a perfect sphere. I decided to practice this more with a bidan. It seemed to work great. It's giving me more of a cut than scrape. I'll shift the axis a couple of times to get it right. Then sand up through the grits with a couple of 90-degree shifts within each grit. Now I'm going to finish it the same way I sanded it. I'm using friction polish on the portion of the sphere between my faceplates. Then shift 90 degrees and reapply friction polish over the bare portion. Then shift again 90 degrees and apply it again to make sure that I've covered the entire surface. For my orbit globe, I did not want a bottom finial and only a very diminutive top finial. I want attention on the globe and orbits and not on a fancy finial. Something this small takes very little sanding and finishing. Then glue on the finial and glue in a top hanger and I'm done. It turned out nice, but there's one thing I do differently. It's a little bit heavy. I thought about hollowing through the finial hole, but instead I'll design some way to hold the halves before the final orbit is glued in to reduce the weight. Easier to hollow it as half spheres than to hollow it through a tiny hole. I'll also figure a way to glue halves together off the lathe so I can work once more. There's always a better way to do something once you've finished one. If you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to both my website and YouTube channel. Here's me nagging you. Always wear your face shield. I hope you never have to thank me later for nagging. Until next time, this is Alan Stratton from Woodturns.